this video, you're going to see a comparison between the traditional way of wrapping curves and how to use zero stretch and the Wrap Institute matrix in two other examples. So the first one, Reiner's going to take a ball and he's placing it here, and he's going to basically use a 2D approach, which is what? You take the material on whatever you're wrapping, you place it on it, and if you get any type of wrinkles, well, what do you have to do? You're going to have to start stretching. So you start at a very easy point, which basically means you're starting with 0, and then you spread all the material out to reach a certain point. So he gets it just to the point where he has wrinkles, and then, obviously tries to stretch it as far as you can without having to use heat. But now the wrinkles build up. So Reiner's going to add some heat and stretch it. I'm going to keep this as close to real time as possible. So he heats one side and pulls and stretches the material. So you can see at the top, you got a square, and then on the sides, as soon as you heat it and stretch it, those squares become rectangles. So that's a very good indication of stretch. But he's going to try to create glass all the way to the edge, and let's see what happens. So basically he's going to work around all the edges, give it a kiss of heat, and stretch the film. And keep in mind that the material being used right now is a cast film. So this is a flexible film that's made to kind of handle curves. So you got the stretch now, you got the glass, it's all on, you got the square at the top, which you think, oh, that's great, but on the edges you have rectangles. Very good indication of tension. So once this is set, going to come back and cut it away from the base where the ball is being held. As soon as he makes that cut, let's see what happens when you heat it. And instantly, as we all know in the wrap industry, this is going to shrink a lot because there's huge tension. So there's no tension on the main curve, but there's a lot of tension on the sides where you want to cut. So this obviously is going to have some durability issues, but this is a very traditional way of wrapping, whether you're doing triangles or cold pre-stretch. Basically, even if those help a lot, you're still going to get some tension on the edge, which you can neutralize, and there's all sorts of stuff. But again, you're using a lot of energy to stretch the material to get to that point, and you can only wrap so far. So now we're going to show two different styles. One is using the WrapU EZ, which is actually based on zero stretch and the matrix. And the idea is, with these type of tools, is to bring the object into the material as opposed to the material over the object. So Reiner's heating it, I'm holding the IR heater, and Reiner's going to just basically plop the ball into it. So the object goes into the material. It's a different logic. So by going into the material now, the material is nice and heated, totally different approach in the sense that where does all the stretch go? At the top now, you see rectangles, but maybe on the sides, when Reiner makes his cut, it's going to go back to squares. So you see a little distortion at the top, way more than the other approach. But when he goes to cut it right now, far less tension on the edges. Very interesting. So always want to start thinking more 3D as opposed to 2D. So the first style you saw was 2D. This style, much different. So as he heats it right now, do you see the material jumping? Not much. So basically he's going to hold the material and just kind of relax it down to the edge. And you can see a total difference in the edges right now. The material's super floppy. Reiner's going to kiss it with heat, but it doesn't jump or do anything right now. It just kind of relaxes. And then he can guide it further. So in this case now, by bringing the object into the shape and into the material right now, he's definitely going farther, which we'll compare at the end. So he's just pulling it nice and relaxed to the edge, very minimal tension there, and just trying to make sure it's even all around, and then he's going to stop. So just doing a 360 just to get to the edge, just like he did on the other side. The other side's nice and uniform in 360, and good. So this is a nice, good setup right here of the edge. And we'll now move into the second option regarding TWI wrap matrix and zero stretch. And if you don't have a WrapU EZ, well, we're going to do a yo-yo moment right now. So in this case now, I think there's other videos on the Wrap Institute showing the TWI wrap matrix where Reiner and I wrap a bumper together. So this, think about this. We're wrapping a ball right now, but having an extra set of hands is really nice. So he puts a nice little holder on the side here. He heats the material up, not super hot, but enough. We're just shrinking back a little bit. So we're not pulling away, we're letting it shrink back to 0. And watch what I do. I pull horizontally while Reiner pulls vertically. So basically like the WrapU EZ. So basically if you have someone kind of pulling in the right direction and you pull in different directions, it can shrink back on in the exact same way. And I could feel it, and I was super happy. So Reiner cuts the material away. You can see exact same benefit. So whether you're wrapping a fender, a mirror, even something like interior or curvy, if you have a little extra set of hands, just kind of spreading the material out as you kind of circle it around, let's say a curve, and it shrinks back in. So you stretch it, shrink it, and then form it on. Totally different ballgame, different approach to wrapping, which is awesome. So let's do a comparison now, and with 2D normal stretching, square at the top and tons of tension on the side and rectangles, so not good. And then here with the two balls, two different styles of wrapping with TWI wrap matrix and zero stretch, but same results, because basically you're allowing the object to go into the material. And what does this result in? way less tension on the edges and squares on the edges, and the rectangles are at the top on the flat section. So on the peaks where you can definitely stretch the film, and then when you get to the edges, no tension. That's the wrap matrix logic right now, is less is more is less, and where to put the tension and where to finish, which is awesome stuff. And that's using the pre-stretch in the film that comes from the manufacturer on itself, and then you get a final result like this. So I hope this helps you better understand the matrix and allow it to work for you, because if you can, it's going to be a total game changer for how you approach wrapping. Thanks for watching. Justin Pate.